Hello everybody, my name is Jared Bendis, and today we are going to go over part 3 of my live demonstration of how to create an open source digital collage using images from the Cleveland Museum of Art's open access collection. Again, it's an amazing collection, thousands of images that you can play with and use, and today we're going to be making a collage. Now in part 1 we actually went through and selected the images we wanted to use, and in part 2 we went through and we actually did a rough crop and rough cut of each of our images. But right now what we want to do is assemble a rough cut of our entire collage. So let's go through this. This one shouldn't take very long, but we'll see. Go back to Photoshop. Yay, Photoshop. I'm going to open the last file I had, my Epic Collage. As you'll recall from the last project, the last video, that what this is an image that if I go to image size, quick review, it is, oh, look at all those pixels. Let's bring it to inches. It is 24 inches wide by 18 inches tall. That is what I decided to work with. It's a good starting point for collage. I like the aspect ratio. I like that long rectangle. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to go through and I'm going to hit magnifying glass. I'm going to hit fit screen. So I've got this entire window in there, and I'm going to load each of my images in. Now I can go File, Open, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently than others would. I can do it in several ways. If I dragged each image in, that would be a little bit different. I don't want to drag each image in because I want to see the relationship between the image that I have and my collage size. If I were to drag this image into my collage, it would bring it as a smart image. What I want to do is I want to open up the image. There it is. Select all, edit copy, and then go to my collage and hit edit paste. And that shows me, from a printing perspective, and this is very important, the relationship between the amount of pixels I have and the size of my collage. That means that as a one-to-one relationship, this will print without changing anything that I have. I'm also going to come over here to this layer, and I'm going to rename it Angel Sun. Bam. And I can close the other layer. And I'm going to do this again, File, Open. Now, I'm going to cheat real fast. You want to see me cheat? I'm going to grab all the layers I'm working with. I'm going to open them all at once. Yay. It's a lot of layers, so it'll take a second. But by doing this, it'll save me a minute. So it's going to open up all the layers in memory. And yes, Photoshop's going to go, do you really want me to open up 900 megabytes of files all at once? And the answer is, yes, I do. But I will be patient with you if you're patient with me. What's going to happen is that Photoshop resources are going to get freed up step by step by step. Every time I copy an image and paste it into my collage, my files are going to get a little bit easier to work with. So this is my swirl. I edit, I select all, which is Control A, edit copy, which is Control C. I'm going to close my window, which is Control W, and I'm going to go back over to my collage. And I'm going to hit paste, which is Control V, and there it is. And I'm going to call this Blue Swirl. I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the text, the menu way, and then I'll do it the keyboard way. Select all. You should know Select all is Control A. Edit copy. You should know that copy is Control C. Most people don't know that closing a window is Control W, but you can also just close the window. Go back to your collage, edit paste, which is Control V, and there is my fountain. Fountain. Excellent. Do it again. Control A, Control C, Control W, V. There it is. There's my vase. See how fast it gets? Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. And there's my blue background. This one, you can barely see it. Oops. Don't worry about that. Just the text. Blue water. We'll have to get back to why that one's so big. Again, Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. Poplars. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. And that would be sky. Don't worry about the layout just yet. We're just loading them in. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. Horse. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. Lilies. That's nice. Shows you how much data we have. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. It's going to be small. Yeah, we don't have a lot of data on that unicorn. Don't worry, we can still blow them up. It's just he's not very big. All right, Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. Yeah, we got some small ducks too. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. We got our dragon, our red dragon. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. We've got our sky. Actually, we need to do that. Is that the moon or the sun? Let's call that moon sky, so we can tell the difference. I always tell my students to name their layers. I once had a student, I open up their file and their names are like Yo Mama. I'm like, that's not what I meant. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. And there's your gravy boat. If you're wondering why it doesn't show the name of the layer from the last time, it's because PNG files don't retain the file layers. Only Photoshop does. Oops. Control A, Control C, Control W, Control V. And this is our tower. And our ship, ACWV, ship. And again, let's do it again slowly. Select all, Control A, edit, copy, Control C, file, close, Control W, edit, paste, and that's Control V. By the way, make sure you're pasting on the right layer. Like I happen to have the collage as the next file open. If it's not the collage, you have to make sure you're pasting into the collage. Green dragon. And then I come over here to my, oh, look at that. ACWV. And that would be sort of my beach. So I have all of my layers in one file. No rhyme, no reason, all layers in one file. I'm going to hit save. It's going to ask me if I want to maximize compatibility, and I'm going to say yes. I have no idea why I do that, but I do. And let's come back over here and see how we're doing. It looks good. I'm going to go back to my folders real fast and take a look at that. Take a look at my folders, and let's come back over and look at the folder. And what we see here is that my one Photoshop file is now 1.5 gigabytes. I'm okay with that. A little bit of file management here. I'm going to make a new folder called cut PNG. I can put those out of the way. So I can grab my PNG files and I can throw them out of here. I'm not going to use them again. And now I'm stuck with this one epic collage. Now, there you go. I have an epic collage. So let's take a look a little bit about how we can navigate through this as we go through this. Now, let me make sure that I'm on the right file, and I'm not. So let's take a look. There we go. There, back to Photoshop. Let's take a look at how we can navigate through our collage. Almost everything we're going to do right now is going to be over here in the Layers menu. Now, the Layers menu allows me to come over here, and if I wanted to put the green dragon on top of the beach, I could drag it up. So I can want to put the ship on top of the green dragon, I can drag it up. So I can reorder my layers any way I want. The other thing that I can do is I can look at this little eye over here, and the eye allows me to turn off the layers so I can take a look at them individually, which is what I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to turn them all off one by one by one so that we can actually have a quick little discussion about the nature of resolution. Ooh, we've turned them all off except our background layer. So let's start off and look at our blue water. Now, obviously, we're really, really close here. Let me come over here and let me bring that all the way down next to the background layer. This is going to be something towards the background. If I look at the blue water, you can see only a portion of the original image. Versus I look at the angel sun, we can see all of the original image. And that's because at 300 dots per inch, which again is the density of the pixels that we consider most comfortably printable for the human eye at, again, arm's length, this angel sun will look about this big. So that if this is 18 inches, this is what, about 12 inches, that's about how big we can print it at. But over here, we can only see a teeny, teeny bit of this painting because that means that the painting was photographed or scanned at such a high resolution that we have all this data and we can barely see any of it. And this is very exciting because if I come over here and grab the hand tool, I can actually start moving around if all goes well. Yes, no, maybe. Not the hand tool. If I come over here and grab the move tool, sorry about that, folks. The move tool, which is the first tool up on the left, I can come over here and move around and literally see how much of my image is. And look, there's Monet's signature, which I don't think I want. So this allows me to get a 1-to-1 ratio of an 18 by 24 image at 300 dpi. Later on, I'm going to show you how to make this smaller. You can make it smaller. If you make it smaller, how does that change things? Well, what ends up happening is if you make it smaller, some of the detail is lost, not because you've exaggerated it, but because you've shrunken it down. And that shrunken down detail could be a bad thing or could be a good thing. You may not want to see all the little nooks and crannies of this. Unlike the other side of it, where if I bring up the angel sun, if I were to make this smaller, again, you would lose some of the detail, but if I would make it bigger, it would magnify things, it would make things softer. So I want to go through and just take a look at some of the ways that we can manipulate just at the first level. Some of these images are really background images. I'm going to come over here. Blue water, it's going to be a background image. I'm using the move tool to move it around. Again, if I move it too much, you see this. I'm going to put this over here like this to start. As I scroll through, what else are my background images? Well, the sky here is a background image. So I'm going to bring that towards the bottom. What else is my background image? Well, my water lilies. I mean, look at my water lilies, making sure I'm on the right layer. My water lilies is quite large. I can put that anywhere I want. And again, I'm going to bring it down towards the bottom of my list because I'm thinking to myself, it's not going to be the top of what I'm looking at. The moon sky, while the moon sky isn't filling the screen, it's going to. I'm going to actually exaggerate that. I'm going to probably bring that up at some point. So again, I'm going to bring the background layers more towards the background. The last one being beach. The beach is probably going to be something that fills the screen as well. And I'm going to come over here and bring this down here. I'm not ready to deal with those yet. So those are my background layers: beach, moon sky, lilies, sky, and blue water. These are the things that I'm going to use to build sort of a composition representing my background. On top of that, I'm going to lay things out like the angel sun, which I'm going to grab the move tool and move over here. The blue swirl, which I'm going to put over here. The fountain, which is way too big, I'm going to put over here. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring that down a little bit so it's in the background. The vase is also way too big. I'm going to bring that down so it's in the background. Again, just temporarily. My poplars. Ooh, poplars, probably the biggest thing we've got going over here. There are those damn poplars. All right. And then I've got the horse. Oh, I like the horse. Sorry. And then the unicorn is way too small. I'll have the unicorn riding the horse. And the ducks are about to be stepped on by the horse. And the red dragon, which I can put over here. The gravy boat. Compared to the, let's get the ship across the gravy boat. You know, there's the ship. There's the gravy boat. There's the ship. There's the tower, which I'll put over here somewhere. And there's the green dragon. Yay. Now, obviously, some of these things are off screen, right? Part of this is off screen. I'm not worried about that because remember, at this point, no matter what you do not crop this image. The reason we set the canvas up in the first place is so the canvas was the correct size. Everything that we're going to be doing to the layers. We will edit each of these layers. We will manipulate each of these layers. We will do all sorts of things to layers, but we will not be doing anything to the canvas or the image size. That's why we set it up in the first place. If you find yourself using image size or canvas size or even image rotation, if you're in any of these three items right here, you're dealing with your entire canvas. I set the canvas up ahead of time so you wouldn't make this mistake. So there you go. Now, let's take a look and see how we're doing. And let's take a look over here. We are doing just fine. Not bad. So now what are our next steps? Well, our next steps is we really want to come over here and figure out what it is that we want our basic composition to be. So I want to take a look at this in a couple ways. I still don't know what my basic composition is yet, but what I do know is that certain images are too small and certain images are too big. Remember, if we make a big image small, we're much safer than if we make a small image big. Remember that. We can do it, but we won't necessarily be happy. So how do I make an image? What kind of manipulation do I want to do at this point? There's a lot of things you can do to each one of these layers, but I want to start off by going very, very simple. I want to only deal with certain things: scale and rotation. And if I'm only going to deal with scale and rotation, and of course, what layer it's on, what's on top of what and where it's laid out. If I'm only going to deal with those types of items, then what I want to do is I want to do Edit, Free Transform. What Free Transform allows me to do is two things. It allows me to rotate by putting my cursor outside of the corner, not on the corner, outside of the corner. So I can rotate freely. Or if I hold the Shift key down, I can scale it and keep the aspect ratio. Now, holding that Shift key down when you're scaling is important. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. Even if you think you do, you don't want to do it yet. Don't do anything whimsical or this type of stuff. This can freak people out. So I'm going to come over here and hit Escape so that I undid my thing. And I'm going to do Edit, Free Transform, which is another keyboard command, Control-T. Now, if I hold the Shift key down when I'm rotating, it rotates in 5-degree increments, which I don't need. I'm okay with rotating smoothly. Yay, rotating smoothly. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hold the Shift key down, and I'm going to make the dragon smaller. Matter of fact, I'm going to make it too small, just so that I can get to it. Then I'm going to come over here to my tower. Same thing, Control-T, make the tower smaller. Do I need to rotate it? Probably not. Now, when I'm done, how do I commit my change? I didn't show you to do that. This is a very tricky one. When you're inside of a transformation, it freaks people out because a huge amount of Photoshop is grayed out because you're inside of a transformation, and you can do one of two things. You can either press Escape to cancel the transformation, or you can press Enter or double click to commit your change. Double click commits your change. There you go. So now I've got a tower. Where's my ship? Oop, there's my ship. Come over to my ship layer. Notice I keep selecting the layer, move the ship, make it smaller. I don't need to rotate my ship. I like my ship right there. Bam. Go to my gravy boat. My gravy boat's way too big. Make my gravy boat smaller. Much smaller. There you go. Notice it's getting a little bit easier to work with. My red dragon is right there. My red dragon is really going to be 2 layers later on. I'm going to put that in the sky. Where's my ducks? Now my ducks are too small. I'm going to make my ducks a little bit bigger, but not too much bigger. We'll deal later to see if we have enough information. There's my unicorn. I'm going to bring my unicorn over here. Make my unicorn a little bit bigger, but not too much bigger. Don't go crazy making things too much bigger. Get away with it a little bit, but don't go crazy. There's my horse. I'll make my horse smaller. Now, the poplars is the big one, right? Poplars is enormous. Matter of fact, when I do this, you're like, where's the damn image? That's my problem. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to zoom out. Control minus, Control minus, Control minus, Control minus. And what you'll see is when I go to hit Control T on the poplars, that shows you how big the whole poplars are. So I can come over here and invisibly make my poplars the right size and zoom in again. Don't worry, that's not the last time we're going to do this. Magnifying glass fit screen. And again, zooming out is Control minus. Zooming in is Control plus. Or you can click on 100%, fit screen. There we go. So there's my poplars, a much more reasonable size. Yay, poplars. There's my blue swirl. Doesn't need to go down too much. There's my blue swirl. Where's my angel sun? My angel sun. I can bring him down a little bit. Put him over here in the sky. My vase is enormous. Again, I'm going to have to zoom out. The nice thing about zooming is you can zoom in and out, Control minus and Control plus, while you've done a transformation. So you don't have to worry too much about it. Please, 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 please make sure that you're holding the Shift key down when you're doing your transformation of making things bigger and smaller. You will regret it later on. If you make a mistake, you know what? And you can't undo it. Delete that layer, bring it in again. Like, do not have warped files unless you know what you're really, really, really planning on. All right, so there's my warped. There we go. Now I've got something going. Now I've got all my pieces parts. Now I've got to decide what I'm going to do about this background. Let me turn off some of these backgrounds and decide what I want to do. Let's start off with the blue water. And again, I'm going to zoom out so I can decide what it is that I want to do. Like I can use the whole image. And again, I'm going to move it around. I'm going to come over here. I like that. There's my blue water. Oops, moved it a little bit around a little bit. Notice it takes a little bit of time. It's okay. We got time. I got plenty of time. I'm not going anywhere. All right, so there it is. Now, did I leave Monet's signature in there? Because I really don't want to. Okay, good. I didn't leave my signature in there. So I've got that. Now I've got to decide how am I going to use the lilies. If I'm going to use the lilies, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put the lilies here. We'll get back to those two a little bit later on. Do I need the sky? Ooh, I do like that little bit of band of sky in there. So I'm going to take my sky and I'm going to move it up. Notice, by the way, I'm using very few tools right now. Think about this. I'm using only a few tools. I'm using the move tool to move things around. I'm using the Control T free transform tool to rotate and scale. That's it. All I want to do is play with my basic composition. My moon sky, ooh, hard to see with all those other layers, but that's all right. I can turn them off. Isn't that fun? And again, you can't be afraid of taking your time. A project like this takes time. People don't want to remember that, but it does. It takes time. So can I come over here and use can I make this bigger? The answer is yes. I got to decide which of these layers I'm keeping. But my goal is sort of to keep them all. Like, part of me wants to figure out a way of incorporating all of these images at once. So bear with me as we figure this one out. All right, so I'm going to start off with there's my beautiful thing. So now I can come over here and I can place my fountain there. Then I can place my vase, which is way still too big, over here. And my angel sun floating in the sky. And my blue swirl under the angel sun. And my poplars. My poplars probably in the background. So I'll move them back a layer so they're behind everybody. Yay, poplars. And then there's my horse walking across the beach with the unicorn who's also walking across the beach. And then my ducks, which I'm going to put in a row. Come on, that was funny. That was funny. My dragon I'll leave up there. I like my dragon there. And then I've got my gravy boat, which is way too big. My gravy boat's meant to be in the background. He's a boat. Across from my ship, which is, of course, in the water. Ooh, that's looking nice. But it should be behind everything, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Remember, don't be afraid of sort of getting your stuff in the right layers. So there it is, behind there. And let's take a look what else I have. I have the tower, which, of course, I probably want to have way in the back. So I'm going to keep bringing it back. So there's my tower. And then I'm going to move this guy over here, move this guy over here. And then what else do I have left? I have the green dragon. And the green dragon is going to be sort of in the background, sort of coming out of the water. So just take a look. Let's take a deep breath and take a look at our composition. I haven't figured out my backgrounds yet, but I have some things. Now, one of the first things that I want to take a look at when I'm taking this deep breath overarching look is realizing that I've created my layers. I'm putting things together, but a lot of things are pointing in the wrong direction. And you know what? I can solve that. Now, I want to point out a couple new features of Photoshop before I continue. I'm going to double check to see if anybody has any questions along the way. Any questions so far? None? None from the back of the internet. All right, good. So far, as I've been working through this project, I have been looking at the layers, and I've been selecting the layer that I want to work on. Layer, layer, layer. And whatever layer I select is a layer that I'm working on. And by working on, I mean grabbing, moving, and transforming. However, there is a feature that you can use. If you're on the Move tool, you're going to see something that says Auto Select Layer. I love Auto Select Layer. What Auto Select Layer means is that whatever you click on will select. If I click on the poplars, if you'll notice, the poplars get selected. If I click on the swirl, you notice the swirl gets selected. And this basically allows me to come over here, and like I'm playing with color forms, do you remember color forms? Or little magnetic pieces, I could come over here and I can move each piece as long as that's the piece I'm selecting. If I select the wrong piece and move it, that won't work. But of course it does work because the auto select is there. Now, let's take a look real fast at my horse. Compositionally, do I want my horse facing this way? Do I want it moving off the screen? Do I want it? So this becomes a big one. Now, if there's no text, and I want everyone to remember, if there's no text, I can take my selected image and I can go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And now he's facing the other direction. Yay, composition. Now, Remember, it's edit transform. It is not image rotation. If you do image rotation, that's the whole canvas and then I'll screw everything up. So I can come over here and I can actually have my horse over here. Maybe, I think it's still too big. I'm all for subtlety because I want to give myself sort of room for layers. I want to have the horse down here, and then I can have my unicorn, which I think can be rotated a little bit. My unicorn over here. I can have my gravy boat in the water. Move that out of the way for now. I can have my ship, which I think would look better facing the other direction. So I'm going to go image, transform, flip, horizontal, right? So now my ship, I think you can also tilt a little bit. And if you're having problems seeing it all, I can hit magnifying glass, fit screen. If I really want to do, I can zoom into 100%. 100% allows me to see exactly 1-to-1 pixel ratio, which is really, really clever, but we're not there yet. So I've got my ship over here. I've got, oops, grabbed the wrong layer. I can undo that. Grab my horse, have my horse walking down the beach. Now, so I'm going to cover up those that thing over there. I need I do like my tower over here. I do like that. Kind of like how the tower covers that up. I like my gravy boat in the water, but I think it could be even a little bit smaller. All right, we're going to deal with my dragon and my clouds later. I'm going to keep my blue swirl up there. I'm going to keep this dragon up in the sky. All right, so now what about my ducks? Do I put my ducks in the water right around here? Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, cover up those people with the ducks. And now my poplars are a little crooked. So I'm going to rotate my poplars. I'm going to put them somewhere right around here. I guess if I put my poplars there, then I have to move my gravy boat again. And this is the nature of the beast. I'm organically working out what my composition is as I go. I'm not afraid to make decisions. I'm not afraid to figure out what it is that I'm trying to do. I'm just going to keep going as I go. And at the end of the day, do I really want the whole angel or did I just want the sun? When I started, I just wanted the sun, but I kind of like the angel. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to edit, transform, flip horizontal. And there we go. Now, of course, it tells me that I've got another problem. My problem, of course, is my ship's in the wrong location. So I'm going to move my ship over here. Move my fountain over here. I don't know why I have a fountain. Maybe I'm going to come over here. Now, pause. Take a look. Parts of this are working better than others. Now, one of the reasons that things will work better than others is that compositionally, the more things that overlap, the better. So if I were to come over here and bring this baby down right there and make the horse a little larger, it actually would add a little bit more unity because it adds some layer of depth. And depth effects are good. Again, the poplars being in front of this, maybe put the vase in front of this. In other words, the more overlap we have, the better. Some things are nice to not overlap, but I've got to figure out how to add some more of that overlap in there. I also have to decide what my background's going to be. That happens to be my beach. But what if I don't want to use the beach? What if I'm going to do that? Or that, or that, or that. And in a little bit, we're going to cut all these pieces back together when we start doing that to create some sort of a background atmospheric effect. So we're not really done yet with this, but I think for the most part, we're getting really, really close. I've got to really figure out where I'm going to put some of these things. I really do want that dragon in it. This dragon's going to be like my sky dragon. I know I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut the clouds out and lay them around somewhere. But what about this dragon? I think this dragon is going to come out of the water. I think this ship's going to be here, and there's going to be some sort of a dragon in the water with the boat over here. And you know what? Maybe the angel's partly off the screen. Maybe it's only partly there. Maybe he's just kind of peeking out there. And I bring this baby back over here like this. Over here like this. We've got that overlap, that sense of depth. We've got our dragon, which might be a little bit big. Now, one of the dangers that we're running into is that I've got all the stuff in the foreground and not a lot going on in the sky, right? And we know that some stuff's going to happen in the sky. We know that this stuff's going to happen in the sky. So I'm giving myself room to play later on. I probably don't need all of this. Maybe the unicorn has to be in the sky. Maybe we've got some mythic battle happening in the sky, and we've got sort of the vase and the fountain like this. All right, so think about how long I've been spending on this. Just this one video here, I've been doing this now for half an hour. For half an hour, I have been ranging, tweaking, this type of stuff. And it's not the greatest composition on the planet. I'm not going to tell you this is fine art. In no way, shape, or form I'm saying this is fine art. This is what we call a study. This is a good way of starting. So that being said, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go through and stop and do this yourself. Don't go beyond this though. What are you playing with? You bring all your images in. You're naming your layers, you're reordering your layers, you're resizing your layers, you're rotating your layers, you're flipping your layers, but you're leaving the canvas alone. Remember that. Leave the canvas alone. And then when I'm done, just for now, I hit Control S, save that file, and I will see you next time as we go on to the next part of building our collage from images found in the Cleveland Museum of Art's Open Access Collection. Once again, thanks to the Cleveland Museum of Art. It's pretty awesome. My name is Jared Bendis.